Her arm slipped around mine as she stumbled, almost falling. "Take me home," Lena whispered, her voice low, drunk and trembling. My heart skipped. For a moment, I thought she meant it. Me, her, together, like some hidden confession. I steadied her and asked, "Are you sure? You can barely stand." Her eyes, half closed, red from alcohol, lifted to mine. "I trust you. You'll take care of me, right?" The words sank into me like fire, burning sweet and cruel all at once. I wanted to say yes, to never let go. "Always," I breathed, too soft for her to hear. She leaned closer, her perfume mixing with alcohol, dizzying me. "But call him, please. I need Adrian." The name cut through me sharper than any blade. My lips parted, but no sound came. Her crush. The one she talked about endlessly when sober. The one who had never even noticed her tears. Not the way I did. "You want me to call him?" My voice cracked, despite my attempt to keep it steady. She nodded desperately. "He'll come for me. He has to." Every part of me screamed no. I wanted to hold her tighter, to take her home myself, to be the one she leaned on in her weakness. But she clutched my sleeve with shaking hands, eyes pleading. "Please, just call him, please." I swallowed the bitterness in my throat. My phone felt like a stone in my hand as I pulled it out. "All right," I whispered. "I'll call him." Her grip loosened as relief washed over her face. She slumped against me, murmuring, "Thank you. You're the only one I can count on." Count on, I thought bitterly. Not love, not want, just count on. When Adrian answered, his voice was groggy. "Who the hell is this?" "It's me," I said flatly. "Lena's drunk. She asked for you." A pause. Then a sharp laugh. "She did? Huh. Figures. Where are you?" I told him, my chest tightening with every word. When I hung up, Lena tugged at my sleeve again. "Is he coming?" "Yeah," I said. "He's coming." Her smile bloomed, fragile, but real. I knew he would. Adrian always shows up for me. The lie of it stabbed me deeper. He never showed up, not when she cried in the library, not when she failed exams, not when she said she felt invisible. It was always me. I was the one who stayed, yet tonight I was just the bridge that carried her into his arms. Minutes crawled. Her head rested on my shoulder, warm, heavy, almost intimate. My body shook with the war between my heart and my conscience. Should I tell her? Should I whisper the truth, that it had always been her, that every smile, every word, every moment had belonged to her in my chest? But headlights cut through the night before I could speak. Adrian's car screeched to a stop. He stepped out, tall, sharp, smirking like he owned the world. "Lena," he called. She lifted her head, eyes lighting up in ways they never did for me. "Adrian." I let her go. Her weight slipped from my arm as she stumbled toward him. He caught her, his hands firm, his grin satisfied. "Got yourself drunk again, huh?" he teased. She laughed weakly, leaning against him. "You came." "I always come for you," he lied smoothly. I stood frozen, fists clenched at my sides. The night air felt colder without her leaning on me. My chest hollowed, as if something had been ripped out. Adrian glanced at me briefly. "Thanks for babysitting." His tone dripped with mockery. I wanted to hit him, to scream, to drag her back. Instead, I forced a smile that tasted like blood. "Take care of her." He shrugged, guiding her to his car. She didn't look back. As the car door slammed and the engine roared, I felt my heart shatter quietly, invisibly. The night that should have been mine had become my downfall. I had chosen to be noble, to sacrifice, to give her away with my own hands. And as the red taillights disappeared into the darkness, I whispered to no one, "I just lost her." My phone buzzed before I even opened my eyes. Notifications piled in like arrows. Did you hear? Lena left with Adrian last night. Finally. Took her long enough. Guess the guy who called him is a real bro. I rubbed my face, the weight of last night pressing down like lead. A bro, I muttered. Right, a new message appeared. From Lena. Thank you for last night. I owe you. My chest tightened. I almost threw my phone against the wall. Owe me. I didn't want gratitude. I wanted her. At school, whispers chased me like shadows. Theo, leaning against the lockers, smirked. So it's true. You called Adrian for her. Man, you're a legend. A legend? I asked, bitterness dripping from my voice. Yeah, he laughed. Legendary fool. You handed her over. Who does that? I clenched my teeth. Drop it, Theo. But he only grinned wider. Relax, I'm just saying. You're like the delivery guy for love stories. Too bad you're not the main character. The words stung because they were true. I walked past him, ignoring his laughter, but it echoed in my head. Later, Mara caught up with me. Her sharp eyes scanned my face. You look like hell. I'm fine, I muttered. Liar. I heard what you did. Her voice was flat, disapproving. You gave her to him. She asked me to, I said weakly. And you listened. God, you're hopeless. What was I supposed to do? Force her to stay with me? You could have at least told her how you felt. I laughed bitterly. And then what? She still would have chosen him. Mara sighed, shaking her head. You're killing yourself. You know that. I didn't answer. I couldn't. By afternoon, Lena found me in the courtyard. She smiled softly, the same smile that once melted me. Thanks again, really. I don't know what I'd do without you. You don't owe me anything, I said flatly. Her smile faltered. Don't be like that. You're my closest friend. Friend. The word twisted in my gut. I forced a nod. Yeah. Friend. She brightened again, oblivious to the storm inside. Me. I'll see you later, okay? As she walked away, laughter bubbled in the distance. Adrian's laughter, loud and sure, as if he'd already won. I sat down on the cold bench, head in my hands. I betrayed myself, I whispered, and the worst part was, no one even noticed. I tried to pull away from her after that night. Distance felt safer, cleaner. But Lena wouldn't let me. Her messages came every morning. Good luck on your exam. Don't forget to eat. Guess what Adrian said to me today? Each word stabbed me. She leaned on me like always, as if nothing had changed, as if my heart hadn't been ripped open. One afternoon, she found me in the library. Why are you hiding from me? She asked, sliding into the chair across from mine. I'm not hiding, I lied. You are. She leaned closer, her perfume washing over me. Don't you want to hear about Adrian? No, I muttered. She blinked, surprised. What's wrong with you lately? I clenched my fists under the table. Nothing. I'm fine. But I wasn't. Every time she said his name, my chest tightened. Every time she smiled while talking about him, I broke a little more. That night, Mara cornered me. You're killing yourself, she said bluntly. I groaned. Not you too. Yes, me too, look at you. She talks about him non-stop, and you sit there bleeding quietly. For what? For friendship. She needs me, I whispered. No, she doesn't. She uses you, and you let her. I couldn't argue, because deep down, I knew she was right. Days passed. One evening, Lena and I walked home together. The air was cool, stars faint above us. Out of nowhere, she asked, "Why don't you ever date anyone?" The question hit me like a blow. My throat tightened. My heart screamed, because it's always been you. But my lips betrayed me. I laughed it off. Guess no one's interested. That's not true, she said softly. You're good. Someone will see it. I looked at her, aching, and whispered in my mind, "I wish it were you." But silence wrapped around me like chains. I said nothing. And in my silence, I gave her freedom. Freedom to keep leaning on me. Freedom to keep walking toward him. Freedom to never know the truth. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. My chest ached with all the words I never spoke, and I realized silence was my prison. Chapter 4. Betrayal in Broad Daylight. Word count 800. The courtyard was loud with chatter the next day, but for me, the world went silent. Lena stood there, hand in hand with Adrian, their fingers intertwined, their smiles bright, their laughter echoing like a cruel song. My world stopped. Adrian glanced at me, smirk tugging at his lips. He knew. He knew everything without me saying a word. Lena waved at me casually. "Hey," she called, as if nothing had changed. As if she hadn't just driven a stake into my chest. My legs trembled. I wanted to walk over, to ask her why him, not me. But my feet stayed frozen. Mara appeared at my side, her eyes narrowing. She grabbed my arm before I could break. "Don't," she whispered. "She's not worth it." My throat burned. "She used me." "Of course she did." Mara's voice was sharp. "You were her crutch until he noticed her. Now you're just the shadow she'll pretend isn't there." I wanted to deny it, to defend Lena, but the scene before me was undeniable. She was glowing, radiant in Adrian's light. And me? I was just the backdrop. Adrian leaned down, brushing his lips across Lena's cheek. She laughed, eyes sparkling. The sound shattered something inside me. I turned away, chest heaving. Mara pulled me aside, away from the crowd. "You need to stop this before it kills you." I covered my face with my hands. "Why wasn't it me?" Mara's silence was heavy, but her hand on my shoulder was steady. "Because you never made her see you." I wanted to scream. I wanted to tear the world apart. But all I did was whisper. I was her shadow all along. And for the first time, I believed it. I spiraled after that day. Classes blurred. My grades slipped. I skipped meals, skipped sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Lena's smile, Adrian's smirk, their hands joined. Their laughter haunted me, even when they weren't around. Mara tried to reach me. "Get up," she said, tugging at my arm one morning. "You can't. Let them destroy you." But I shook her off. "Leave me alone," she glared. "You're pathetic like this." Maybe I am. Nights grew longer, darker. I sat in front of the mirror once, staring at my reflection. My eyes were hollow, my face pale. "You don't exist to her," I whispered. "You never did." The boy I once was, the one who believed kindness mattered, who thought saving her was enough, burned away that night. In his place stood someone colder, someone bitter. Someone who asked a new question. Why save anyone who would never save me? The thought terrified me, but it also felt like freedom. I stopped answering Lena's messages. I stopped caring when people whispered. When she caught me, once in the hallway, her brows furrowed. "You've changed. What happened to you?" I met her eyes, my voice flat. "I grew up." She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. For the first time, I saw confusion in her eyes, maybe even fear. That night, staring at the ceiling again, I whispered, "The old me is gone." And in the ashes of who I used to be, something darker began to rise. It happened by accident, or maybe fate wanted me to suffer more. I was carrying a stack of notes between classes when one envelope slipped free. The handwriting stopped me cold. Lena's. My chest tightened. I shouldn't have opened it. I knew that. But my fingers moved before I could stop them. The words burned into me. "I used him because I couldn't face you alone. He was convenient, but you're the one I want. Convenient. That's all I was to her. My hands shook, my vision blurred, my pulse thundered in my ears. Everything okay? Theo's voice jolted me. I stuffed the letter into my pocket. Fine, I muttered. He grinned. You look like you saw a ghost. Maybe I had. That night, I read the letter again under my desk lamp. My chest ached, but underneath the pain was something new, something sharp. Rage. She had leaned on me. She had whispered her fears to me, held on to me when she was drunk, smiled at me when no one else cared. And yet, to her, I was nothing more than a tool. Convenient. I laughed bitterly, the sound foreign in my own ears. For the first time, I didn't feel weak. I felt dangerous. I confronted her the next day, not with yelling, not with fists, with silence. She caught me outside the library, her smile too bright. Hey, why haven't you been answering me? I just looked at her. Her smile faltered. What's wrong? I said nothing. She laughed nervously. Come on, don't be weird. You're supposed to be my friend. Finally, I spoke. My voice was calm, too calm. And you were supposed to see me. Her face froze. What? What do you mean? I stepped closer, close enough for her to see the fire in my eyes. I read your letter. She gasped, color draining from her face. How could you? You used me, I whispered. Convenient, remember? Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't mean. I cut her off with silence, just silence, and in that silence, she broke. That night, I found Mara waiting at my door. She studied my face. Something's changed in you. I nodded. I'm done being her shadow. Mara's eyes blazed with pride. Good. Then let her regret it. I clenched my fists. She will. And for the first time, I didn't want her love anymore. I wanted her regret. Rebuilding wasn't easy, but I refused to stay broken. Mara pushed me hard. No more sulking, she said. Work, study, live. So I did. I studied until my grades climbed. I joined projects, spoke up in class, built connections. People began to notice me. Didn't think you had it in you, Theo muttered one day, watching me lead a group presentation. Neither did I admitted. The whispers changed. No longer the fool who played messenger, but someone. Worth watching, Adrian noticed too. One afternoon, he smirked at me in the hallway. Trying to outshine me now? I met his gaze steadily. Not trying. Doing. His smirk slipped. But the one who noticed most was Lena. I caught her staring at me in class, her notebook untouched. Her laughter with Adrian grew weaker, her smiles forced. Mara leaned over one day, whispering, "She sees it now. Too late." I wanted to look back, to feel the old ache. But instead, I focused on my notes. At night, I thought about how far I'd come. I wasn't healed. Not yet. But I wasn't drowning anymore. For the first time, I wasn't her shadow. I was my own flame. And slowly, I saw Lena's light begin to dim. It started with whispers. She caught him with someone else. I heard Adrian's been seeing another girl. No way, Lena doesn't know. The rumors spread like fire, each word feeding the blaze. I told myself I didn't care. I told myself it wasn't my business. But when I saw her in the courtyard, crying, everything inside me stilled. It was the same courtyard, the same place where she had once held his hand right in front of me, smiling like I didn't exist. Now she sat on the bench, shoulders shaking, mascara running. Adrian was nowhere in sight. Part of me almost stepped forward. Almost. Her eyes lifted, red and desperate, and for a second they locked on mine. "Mara," I whispered, frozen in place. She tugged on my arm sharply. "Don't." I swallowed hard. "But she made her choice." Mara's voice was steel. Lena stood slowly, scanning the crowd like she was searching for someone, searching for the boy who once answered her calls in the middle of the night, who carried her home, When she was drunk, who handed her to the man she thought she loved? Her lips trembled. Please! But she wasn't calling to me. Not really. She was calling to the ghost of the boy I used to be, and that boy was dead. I turned away, my fists clenched. Mara walked beside me, silent but firm. Behind us, I heard Lena's sob echo. It was the sound of karma, raw and cruel. For the first time, I didn't feel weak listening to her cry. I felt free. She tried to speak to me one last time. It was outside the library. I was heading out when she appeared in front of me, eyes swollen, lips trembling. Please, she whispered. Can we talk? I stared at her. The girl I once thought was everything stood before me, broken. And yet, my chest didn't ache anymore. I walked past her without a word. Her hand shot out, brushing my sleeve the same way she had the night she was drunk. Don't do this, please. I shook her off gently, firmly, and kept walking. That was my revenge. Not cruelty, not anger, just silence. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, remembering the smell of alcohol, her voice whispering my name, her weight leaning against me, her plea for me to call him. Maybe in another life, I would have taken her home that night. Maybe in another life, she would have chosen me, but not in this one. In this one, I let her go. And for the first time, I wasn't her shadow, I was free.